Hi, welcome to another edition of North Shore Journal. I'm your host, Walt Kosmowski. And my very special guest today is Steve Drokosky. Steve, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And Steve is the Vice President and General Manager of Cummings Properties. Did I get that right?
Yes.
And as you might expect, we are going to be talking to Steve today about Cummings Properties, which and the Cummings Center here in Beverly, which is probably one of the great business success stories of the city of Beverly, I would imagine.
Thank you for having me in. I'm always happy to talk about Cummings Center. There's an awful lot going on.
Yeah. So now, how long has the Cummings Center been the Cummings Center? That was the old shoe building. And tell us about, when did the shoe shutter, and then when did Cummings Center kind of rise up out of the ashes?
So United Shoe Machinery started developing that property in the very early 1900s. It turned into one of the most successful manufacturing and leasing scenarios worldwide. It was really broken up over many decades by an antitrust litigation by the U.S. government. It had a worldwide monopoly on machines. They didn't make any shoes at Cummings Center. They made machines that made shoes.
Yeah, right.
And one of the unique things that they did is they leased the machines and they controlled all of the repairs and all of the parts.
Wow, that's quite a monopoly, I would say.
Quite a monopoly, worldwide monopoly. Fast forward into the 70s, mid 80s, the government won, essentially. The company was broken up and factioned into different places in the world. The property really fell into disrepair in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Cummings Properties purchased it in 1996, April of 1996.
And it was really an eyesore at that time, wasn't it?
It was. It was a large factory that no one really knew what to do with. I think the conventional wisdom at the time was that the place needed to be raised and rebuilt.
Yeah.
Cummings Properties purchased it for $500,000.
Can you imagine that?
And a promise to make some investment. And the investment that we have made over the last 21 years was far more than we originally anticipated. Now with Elliott Landing, our investment on site is well over $100 million.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about Elliott Landing in a second. Now, how big is the property, the Cummings Center there?
It currently is about 71 acres. It was a little larger when we purchased the property. Right after we purchased the property, we donated the property that the McEwen School is currently on.
Right.
And also a 2.1 acre lot that is at the southeast corner, right on Elliott Street, that is now owned by the city.
Yeah. And I think they've had plans for a lot of years to build a sort of a municipal building, fire or a police station.
Public safety.
Yeah, public safety.
Is the idea. 20 of those acres are the ponds. So we have Upper Pond, which is a freshwater pond, and Lower Shoe Pond, which together are about 20 acres.
Oh, okay.
Some people don't realize this, but the piece of land and the walkway that is between Lower Shoe Pond and Upper Shoe Pond is actually a dam that was built. It's an earthen dam that was built by the United Shoe Machinery Corporation.
Yeah. Now, you have right now roughly how many tenants does the shoe have, or the Cummings Center have?
We have about 560 different tenant firms at Cummings Center.
And they range from, I know that I have a masseuse I go to there, and she has a 10 by 12 room, single person, to how big? So
we run from a couple of hundred square feet to about 85,000 square feet for a single tenant. There is a great mix of different types of businesses.
Yeah. Who is your largest tenant?
Largest tenant is Sensitech, which is in the 800 building.
Okay.
What they do is they're part of our sort of life science, high-tech community. What they do is they make a widget, I'll call it, that tracks the temperature of perishables as they're transported from one place in the world to another.
Yeah. Okay.
So Sensitech, the word, they sense the temperature, so they can tell I'm oversimplifying it probably, but they can tell the condition of the bananas from the port of shipment to when they arrive in the United States, what the temperature was at all times, how long they were in a container, and so on.
So that prevents, rotting food or whatever or somebody buying a bunch of bananas, taking them home, and they rot there.
So the distributor has sort of real-time information on how the product was shipped, and that obviously leads to whether it's put in juice or it's it's sold as fresh fruit in the supermarket.
There you go. Now, the property, as going back to the shoe, there's a lot of family ties here in the community with the shoe. Tell us about that. I know our ex-mayor Cahill was the general manager at one time of the whole.
Yes, or Scanlon. Yes,
I'm sorry. Yes,
well, he
Scanlon.
was. He worked for the United Shoe. He was the chair or the president of the site for a while. We have a ton of interesting stories from people, really weekly.
Yeah.
We have a book that's outside of our office where we ask visitors to sign in and give us a little bit of a summary of what their connection is to the site, and we have an entry or two in that a week.
Yeah.
We often have people stop by our office and say that they worked in the facility for 30 years or 40 years.
Yeah.
Their father did, their grandfather did, whatever it may be. We also have quite a few people that choose to donate small items to us so that we can display them in our hallways.
Yeah, and I know that you have, was it 221E is a meeting room, I know, that's frequently used, and I think you have some artifacts and machinery and things in that room, don't you?
Yes. 221E is, we call it our community conference room. It can be reserved free of charge by our tenants for events that wouldn't fit into their space, and we've tried to really decorate that with all of the items that we found on site.
Yeah.
We didn't really work that hard to find all that many of those things. They were there.
Yeah.
And we just cleaned a lot of them up, painted them, and found a way to display them.
A fascinating story. Now, I would imagine the Cummings Center is a for-profit entity, correct? And you must be one of the largest taxpayers in the city, if not the largest?
We are the largest taxpayer in the city. Yes, we have been for quite a few years.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, and so Cummings Properties is part of a larger part of the Cummings Foundation. Tell us how that works and give us the relationship.
Cummings Properties is the original profit-making real estate entity that owned and managed about 10 million square feet of space north of Boston, from Medford and Somerville out to Sudbury to Beverly. That's the triangle where all of these, about 85 buildings. It now, as part of estate planning for Bill Cummings and Joyce Cummings, most of the buildings have been donated to Cummings Foundation, a foundation that was organized really in the 80s. So the way that it works now is most of the buildings are owned by the foundation, and then Cummings Properties LLC, my employer, is hired to manage the buildings on the foundation's behalf. Some of the buildings are not yet into the foundation for tax reasons, but ultimately all of the buildings will end up in the foundation.
Yeah. Now, the Cummings Foundation acts kind of like an economic infusion of economic benefit into the city, as well as a kind of an incubator of businesses. Tell us about that a little bit, Steve.
At Cummings Center, yes, we'd like to think that we've had a very positive effect on some of what's going on in Beverly during the last 20 years and right to today. We have, as we talked about earlier, we have 560 businesses of all types. We have somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 people a day that come to Cummings Center, whether they're working or they're coming to a doctor's appointment, patronizing one of our restaurants, getting a massage, whatever it might be. There are an awful lot of good things going on in the city of Beverly now, and we love to see that happening. There is a lot of roadway improvement going on. The whole Brimble Ave Phase 1 project is complete now.
Right.
Whole Foods is investing in our community. There's the paving projects on Cabot and Rantoul are terrific. Kelly Ford, from what I understand, is moving from Cabot to a larger property closer to 128, but in Beverly.
They're looking. Yeah.
We have some great things going on. Endicott College continues to expand. Montserrat College of Art is here, brings a uniqueness to some of what goes on in downtown Beverly. Yeah,
there's a lot of synergy, and I think you have a mayor who is very pro-development and making the community work and for everybody involved, and it all has a great synergy, I would say.
We have a lot of amenities at Cummings Center for the people on campus to use during the day, but we are very happy to see people leave Cummings Center and go and patronize the businesses in Beverly.
Yeah.
That runs the gamut. It's Stop and Shop. It's all the restaurants downtown. They could buy their car. They can get their car serviced right over at Kelly Nissan or Kelly Ford. So we think it's a great network. There are some very good things going on in Beverly.
Yeah. Now, how many employees are employed at the Cummings Center?
We have about a little over 100 people
Okay.
that are on staff day in, day out. When
Yeah.
we were in the throes of building Elliott Landing, we were closer to about 140.
Yeah.
We borrowed some of our employees from our Woburn
Yeah.
central office.
Yeah.
But it equalizes pretty much around 100.
Yeah.
About 25 of those people are office people in the main leasing office at 100 Cummings Center, and the rest of them are tradespeople.
Yeah.
So we have our own construction firm. We do all construction for our own account. We also do all maintenance and cleaning of the buildings. We
Yeah.
don't outsource any of that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was just going to bring that up, Steve, that one of the things that absolutely amazes me every time I go in there, and I actually worked in the Cummings Center at one time when I was with the Red Cross a number of years ago, is the cleanliness of the building. I can't ever remember walking down one of those hallways and finding a piece of paper or a crumpled up cup or something like that. It's amazing how much care you take in making sure that building is just spotless, or those buildings, I should say.
It's not by accident. We pay a lot of attention to that. Some of that, people are sometimes tired of hearing me. I don't think the glass on entry doors can be too clean. We try to have all of those 100 people, if they see a napkin blowing across the parking lot, that they bend over and pick it up and throw it in the trash receptacle. That is first impressions. You don't have a second. That's the old adage. You don't have a second chance to make a first impression.
Sure.
And we want the doors to be painted properly, glass to be clean, carpet not to be frayed. People notice that.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
It's important.
Yeah, the whole environment makes people want to be there if you're a business, and want to go there if you're a client and are looking for.
We also try to go out of our way, our staff, to greet people in the hallways, say good morning, good afternoon, how are you doing today? And it's infectious.
Yeah.
If we do it, then everyone else starts doing it. It really is a community where people should acknowledge one another. We don't want to be part of a group of people that are walking around looking at the floor. We want to greet people, and it is truly a community.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the different types of businesses, service providers that you have there. The medical community is very well represented. I know you have people from the Leahy Group, also from Partners Healthcare. Tell us a little bit about some of the medical clients that you have there.
So we have a large medical community that continues to grow at Cummings Center. We have somewhere around 300 different physicians that are connected to practices of all sorts. As you mentioned, Leahy and Partners do have primary care physicians' offices that are both growing.
Yeah.
Leahy is in the process of expanding one now. We also have quite a few specialties. We have urology, we have plastic surgery, we have regular dentists, we have a child dentist. We have an ambulatory surgical center at Cummings Center, and many people may not know that.
Yeah, I was surprised to find that out.
Which has 2 full-blown operating rooms, and people can come to Cummings Center for surgery on their shoulder, on their knee, on their hip.
Yeah.
I understand that there are some eye procedures being done there now. Leahy also operates in the 500 Cummings Center building a oxygen therapy center, hyperbaric chambers.
Okay.
So it's sometimes used for wounds that need some assistance healing, sometimes people with diabetes. So there aren't a whole lot of hyperbaric chambers on the North Shore or even in the greater Boston area. We have one right at Cummings Center.
Yeah, and I understand that you also have the beginnings of an expanding life sciences kind of a community. Tell us a little bit about that.
We do. So our entree into life sciences was probably 25 years ago, where we were comfortable taking some risk in risk, as we put it in the real estate business, where we would invest in a space, build a space that could appeal in a generic way to a life science firm and try to lease them. That took off. So we wound up incubating quite a few life science firms over the years, which turned into much larger clients.
Yeah.
Especially at Cummings Center, once we got to a critical mass of life science firms, they tend to do a lot of collaboration with one another. They tend to do business with each other. They share people, share professionals, share equipment.
Yeah.
So they call it a life science cluster. We have a significant life science cluster there now of more than 60 firms that occupy about 500,000 square feet of space. And as we have some help in that incubation area now, where an organization called North Shore Innoventures, which is run by Martha Farmer, is a great place for people who have an idea, want to start something on a small scale, but really can't afford their own space, can't afford to build it out, or can't afford the equipment on their own. They go there and they truly do incubate businesses, which hopefully, if the system works the way we hope, they graduate to a regular space at Cummings Properties.
That's right. Yeah. Now, I asked you how much acreage was involved. But how many square feet of space does the Cummings Center?
It's a little over 2 million square feet of space.
2 million square feet. Yeah.
So it's north of 50 acres of interior space at Cummings
That's
Center
one way
in our buildings.
Of looking at it. It's like 50 football fields, right? Plus 50 plus football fields. Now, you also have some arts-based organizations that have space there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. We have. We really are an example of different cuts of the community outside of Cummings Center. So we have Boston Children's Theater is with us. They have a space where they rehearse. Sometimes if you come over and go near their space at 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m., you'll hear singing and dancing. So that they're there. We have Express Yourself, which is another terrific organization that does therapeutic arts. They moved from a building that's now, I think, was purchased and now occupied by Beverly Bootstraps and came to Cummings Center. We're thrilled to have them. They bring some excitement and color to Cummings Center where we didn't have it before. We've gone out of our way to display artwork created by the kids that go to Express Yourself in our hallways, and we get a lot of positive compliments about it. Yeah,
and you do have restaurants. Tell us about. I think you have 6 full-time restaurants.
6 restaurants. We try to have all different types of food that are available to people that want to stay on campus for lunch and don't brown bag it or don't go off campus for lunch. So we have Acapulco's. I think everyone knows where Acapulco's
Everybody knows Acapulco's.
Been there for years. They do a nice job. They have a very strong following. So they're there. Marinos, which was for a while on Rantoul Street, right near what was then, I guess, Thomas Ford. Has opened a place at Cummings Center. They seem to be doing very well. Their quality's high. They're quick service, and it's good food, so people seem to love that. We have Anthony Prizio and his mother frequently are in there working, and he does an awful nice job. He's in the 800 Cummings Center building. His food is good, and then people also like to go see him because they like the Anthony show. He puts on a bit of a show. We have Red Sugar, which is a Thai restaurant, and we have 2 newcomers. One is called Early Harvest Diner, which will be in the location right next to Elliott Landing, which used to be the barbecue restaurant. They have locations in Wakefield, I believe it is, and also in Boston, and they're expanding. They'll be open sometime in either August or September. So we're excited to have them. And we have another organization that's opening soon called
Catered Lifestyle.
Catered Lifestyle. And what they do is they will serve some lunch, but they will really do prepared meals for people who are too busy to do their own meals. So you can order a meal for the entire week or just for Wednesday night, because you know Wednesday night's going to be particularly busy. They will prepare it and have it in a refrigerator and ready for you to pick up.
Ready for you to pick up.
It's right on Center Drive, so we're excited about that as well.
Fantastic. And you also have a lot of amenities in terms of like dry cleaning, other things like that. Tell us about that.
We do. We try to create a community and try to create conveniences for the people that are at Cummings Center on a day-to-day basis. So in addition to the restaurants, we have dry cleaning. We have a U.S. Post Office outlet, which people sometimes don't realize. We have a dog daycare. We have a dog food and supply store that's operated by the same people. We have Fitness Together, which does sort of one-on-one or one-on-two fitness counseling of sorts. We have Beverly Athletic Club, which is more of a traditional 24-hour access club.
We know Derek from Fitness Together.
Right, you know Derek. We have CrossFit. We have a CrossFit at Cummings Center, which I understand is one of the larger CrossFits in New England. They have a terrific space in the 100 building. They seem to have a great following. So you can, at Cummings Center, you really can see your accountant, you could see your lawyer, you can see your doctor, you can get a back massage, you can get your nails done, and then you can...
and never have to get in your car.
Never have to get in your car. but a lot of people do. There are an awful lot of people patronize Starbucks and the downtown restaurants and all the things that make this a great community.
Now let's talk about something that is brand new, and that is the Elliott Landing condominium residences. Right there at the corner. Tell us about that. That's been open, I guess, less than a year. About last Thanksgiving when you
first residents started to move in right around last Thanksgiving in 2016. That is the site that we had originally permitted and planned to build a hotel.
Hotel, right? Yeah.
It turned out after the economic downturn in 10 years ago or so, or 9 years ago or so, and us doing a market study, there really wasn't much of a market for a hotel.
Yeah.
So we shifted gears. We thought that there was a market for a high-end steel and concrete and glass building for residential, and we chose to market it as a condominium. There are quite a few rental properties in Beverly, but there really weren't very many condominiums. So it's been exciting. It's been a whirlwind. We've sold all but 10 of the 73 units at Elliott Landing, so there are only 10 left.
There's what, 70, right?
73.
Yeah.
So out of those 10, we have, I think the majority are 2 bedrooms. I think there might be one bedroom left.
Yeah.
So it's been a great addition to Cummings Center. You truly can do everything at Cummings Center now. You can even live there. It is a great example now of a true mixed-use development. It is a development that is 71 acres that you can do all the things we just talked about as well as own. It cuts down on traffic because there are people that live there that work at Cummings Center, which is great. They can walk indoors from the parking garage over the pedestrian bridge right into their building and never get in their car.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that have been attracted to Elliott Landing are empty nesters, people that are looking for the conveniences of, they want to be in Beverly still, or they want to be in this greater Beverly area, but they want get away from shoveling the sidewalk, worrying about the roof.
Yeah.
Mowing the grass.
Yeah. Well, one of our board of directors members, Lee Yaffe and his wife, bought a unit there on the first floor.
Yes.
So the very just what you're talking about.
And it really is. We really do like the way the building turned out. We knew from the very early stages of designing the building that it would be the head and shoulders of Cummings Center. It's the first thing you'll see when you drive down Route 62 towards the east, and we really wanted it to make a statement that it's a high quality. This is a high quality development,
right.
And it looks great.
I think last year, just before the end of the year, I think we did just when you were opening up, first few buyers were buying homes there. We did a show on location that we have
with Jim Trudeau, who's our chief design officer. Yep. Jim touched every aspect of the design of that building, and touches an awful lot of everything you see at Cummings Center as well.
Yeah, yeah. And let's talk a little bit more about the quality of life features. I mean, you mentioned the pond. There's paths and things like that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So again, being a community, we do need to deal with that part of what people desire to do in their day-to-day. We have a terrific walking path that many people use, people that have reason to be at Cummings Center, and people who just come to walk, that runs all the way from Elliott Street through the property along Shoe Ponds and ends up at Balt Street. Yeah. That's heavily used, and we have some vista areas along the way, some picnic areas along the way. We have a park we call Sheehy Park, which is Mike Sheehy is one of our long-term employees. It was his idea in the early days of Cummings Center. So we have a park that's right near the dog daycare and McKay Street, where clients can reserve that area and they can have a barbecue or an outside meeting, which they do frequently. Right. We have some great ways to get outside. Yeah.
And the far end there on Balt Street, of course, you have the golf course. Beverly Golf and Tennis is there. And as you mentioned earlier, if people want to get into downtown, it's just a short 5-10 minute walk, and they're right downtown for the Cabot, the Larcom, things like that.
So yes, and the MBTA station is very close. So there are quite a few people who commute to Cummings Center via the train. and it's an easy walk from the train station to Cummings Center.
And you mentioned earlier this whole synergy with the way things are going in the city now, the 1A redevelopment and the rotary over at Tozer Sawyer Road, and the extensive renovations around the city. That it all kind of has a synergy that just makes Beverly a place where people want to work, want to live, are happy with the amenities, the theater, the restaurants.
Yes, there's a long list of great things going on in Beverly, and sometimes we like to complain about a little extra traffic or perhaps a detour or some construction
Especially now
going
with all
on.
the construction.
But it's all
temporary.
good. It's temporary things. The wonderful things we have in the city of Beverly, like the North Shore Music Theater and the Larkham and the Cabot. I had not been in the Cabot at all until about a year ago.
Is that
and
right?
Went to my first concert. Jim Dawson invited me over there, and it's great.
Yeah.
What a terrific thing to have in our city. You can get out of a concert at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, get a bite to eat, and then be home in 15 minutes. You feel like you could be in Boston or a much closer suburb to Boston.
That's right.
That wasn't that way in downtown Beverly 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's terrific.
Yeah. Great community to live in and be part of. Now, if somebody wants to contact you, I think we have an email address for you.
Yes,
can you tell us what that is, and we'll put that up on the screen?
They can call me directly. My phone number is 978-720-4066. That rings right to my desk.
Okay.
We don't screen our calls at Cummings Properties, so if you want to talk to me, you can call me directly. And then my email address is sjd@cummings.com.
So we have that up on the screen right now. Stephen J. Drokosky. How long have you been with the Cummings?
It'll be 20 years in December.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to believe. Time flies.
Yeah, well, you've been part of a great success story here in the city of Beverly. And Steve Drokosky, I'd like to thank you for coming on BevCam.
Thank you for having me.
And telling us all about the Cummings Center. And I'd like to remind our viewers that you have been watching North Shore Journal. I'm your host, Walt Kosmowski, and we'll see you next time.